Al or Bob? We bet you found Bob more appealing. But let's see who our volunteers picked.
Bob was a bit more outgoing than Al was, for sure.
I like Bob better. He kind of like showed emotion, kind of like reaction to how I answered. He laughed with me, so that was fun to interact with him.
Me and Bob would have talked a lot longer than me and Al.
It seems our volunteers are pretty convinced. In a head-to-head matchup, Bob beats Al. But the big question is why? Well, in case you haven't figured it out yet, we'll let you in a little secret. Al and Bob aren't different at all. In fact, they're both played by the same person. This guy. He's an actor playing both Al and Bob. Using state-of-the-art software called FaceShift, when our volunteers smiled, so did Bob. And when they laughed, he did too. Al, on the other hand, didn't copy their reactions at all. In other words, Bob mimicked their responses, and Al didn't. So why does everyone prefer Bob to Al? Here to explain why is Professor of Marketing Jonah Berger.
Your brain is built to decode thousands of tiny verbal and nonverbal cues that occur whenever you communicate with someone else. When these cues sync up between two people, it's called mirroring. So if someone imitates them, they think they're more similar. And if someone does something different, they're less likely to like them. And so the mere fact that Al didn't mimic our participant made them think Al wasn't great. But because Bob did the same thing they were doing, they start to like Bob even more.
In other words, you can make people like you more just by mirroring them. And this also happens naturally whenever we come in contact with someone we genuinely like. When two people really get along, their breathing, voice tempo, and eye movements can also get in sync. Scientists call this unconscious response automatic imitation. It gives new meaning to the old adage, monkey see, monkey do.
As much as you might think of yourself as a unique individual, there are plenty of instances where we all go out of our way to copy other people.
To show you what we mean, we're going to play a game with you.
I'm going to ask you a few simple questions to gauge how much other people's opinions influence your buying habits. Ready?
Imagine it's lunchtime and you're at the mall. You decide to head over to the food court to grab a quick bite.
There are two restaurants. Both serve chicken sandwiches and burgers. One has 7 people in line, and the other is completely deserted.
Would you A, get in line and wait behind the other people, or B, take advantage of the stand with no line?
Okay, here's another one. You're at the airport, and you decide at the last minute to buy a new book to read on the plane.
You don't have a lot of time to shop. Do you A, head straight for the bestsellers list, or B, browse the shelves for something that catches your eye?
Last question. You're shopping for something online when you find 2 versions of the product you want. Both cost about the same and appear to be very similar except for one thing. One has 20 reviews, mostly favorable, with a few negative, while the other has no reviews at all.
Do you buy A, product with the reviews, or B, take a chance on the one with no reviews? Did you pick A or B for most of these? You might have figured out that if you picked A, you chose to follow the crowd, and if you picked B, you chose to go your own way. So you're probably thinking that most people would like to be unique and answer B. Well, think again. In fact, if you're like 80% of the people we surveyed, you chose A. Of course, you don't know any of these people you followed. So why would you value a complete stranger's opinion?
It's because your brain is hardwired to do so. There's safety in numbers, and whether it's thousands of years ago or today, your brain would rather go where other people are going rather than take the chance of going it alone. Your brain's decision-making center, the prefrontal cortex, has a direct line to the nucleus accumbens, an area responsible for positive rewards and social learning. Simply seeing someone else's choice activates that reward system and reinforces the decision to follow their lead.
But following along with the crowd doesn't always ensure that you'll make the best choice. Sometimes just following along can lead you astray. And when it comes to leading or misleading your brain, few people do it better than illusionist Marco Tempest. See if you can figure out what he's up to.
If it looks like rain, it's better to have an umbrella. Excuse me, would you mind if I borrow your umbrella for just a moment? I promise to give it right back. Okay? Now keep your eyes on the umbrella. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Ah, That worked out pretty well. There you go.
This is not how umbrella.
Well, I don't want to leave you like this. You want to hand it back to me for just a moment? And maybe this will work. Whack! There you go.
Confused? Stick around to find out exactly how Marco misled your brain.
This is what.
And 3.
Did Marco just lead your brain astray? You clearly weren't seeing the full picture, so take another look.
1,
The question is, why did you miss Marco switching out the umbrellas?
3.
It's because your brain is so good at following along that it stitches together any missing details in order to present you with the most likely scenario. By misdirecting your brain, Marco was able to pull a fast one. So we've seen what can happen when we follow the leader, but is there a limit to how far people will go? To find out, we've designed a unique experiment in Las Vegas. We're setting up a sign and hiding our cameras. We're going to see if we can get people to wait in line for no reason at all. Think it'll work? After 15 minutes, nobody got in line. Seems like people would rather follow a trend than set one. So we've asked a conspirator to help us prime the pump a little by starting the line. Would the sight of just one person be enough to get you to join? What do you think other people will do? Will anyone actually get in line?
What's going on?
I just told to come in line, so I'm not sure, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh no, she didn't take the bait. As the minutes tick by, people are curious, but cautious. It looks like no one is going to join the line.
What's up, man?
How about these two?
I don't know what it's for. I think it could be something good, but
The last part.
yeah, I just saw a sign. Yeah, come on, you'll be second, third people. Get in line.
Will they join the line even though they have no idea what they'd be waiting for? They're in. We've got them. And now that these two joined the line, the floodgates are open. People just can't resist joining in.
What is it?
Looks like it could be something fun.
Is it free?
And the longer the line got, the more others wanted to join. Remember, these people have no idea what they're waiting for.
What's this line for? Things in a man or something?
All it took was one person, and now we've got a crowd of random strangers.
This phenomenon is known as informational social influence, and it occurs when you rely on others to determine your course of action. You're much more likely to use social influence when the situation is ambiguous, such as in a crisis, or when you're uncertain about what to do.
And as you can see, even without a clear reason for waiting,
There's no description, no nothing.
our line grew, and grew, and grew. It's time to get this show on the road. But where to exactly?
Oh, we moving!
Now that the line is moving, we wanted to see if people would follow along even though they had no idea where they were going. We're going to test the science of follow the leader with 3 unexpected obstacles. First, a dizzying maze.
Where are we going?
And even though the path makes no sense, no one is getting out of the line. Do you think these people will realize they're going nowhere fast? Looks like they're in it for good. Now for the next step, we put tape on the ground to see if people will jump over it just because they saw someone else do it. Think they will? Wow, a spinning jump. 3 points for style. Finally, we set up a hopscotch game and had our ringer do it. Will other people follow suit? Would you? All of these adults are playing this kids game because their brains want to follow the leader. So getting each of them to take a lay from an Elvis impersonator is a no-brainer. Now, for the final part of our Pied Piper experiment, do you think we can get them to dance in a conga line? By now, you probably know the answer. Absolutely yes. Remember, all this started with just one man waiting in line for nothing. 5 minutes ago, all these strangers were going about their business, and now they're all dancing together. While it might seem strange, it's actually what scientists would expect.
So we often use other people as a shortcut. We look to their behavior to figure out what the best thing is. Because if they're doing it, it's probably pretty